You make a great mistake in thinking I am so prosperous. We have been suffering misery in a most concentrated form, and the life I see and hear about me is all destruction and disorder. Nothing but drums, cannons, and human misery in every form. This passage from a letter Beethoven wrote to his publishers Breitkopf and Herdel in July of 1809 describes the chaos being wrought by Napoleon's troops as they stormed through Austria, crushing the country's attempt to free itself from French domination. It was against this desperate background that Beethoven composed his Fifth Piano Concerto, a work that would become known, for reasons that are unclear, as the Emperor Concerto. We may ask what inspired Beethoven to write such exalted music during a time of appalling devastation, when he found himself spending hours in Viennese cellars, hoping to escape the effects of seemingly endless French bombardments. The answers are found in Beethoven's early professional training. Although his music often appears to have a personal, quasi-romantic subtext, the means Beethoven employs are firmly based in 18th century Central European classicism. When he first came of age as a musician, it was the music of Mozart and Haydn that exemplified the art at its highest level of accomplishment. Their work embodied all the aesthetic ideals of the Enlightenment: clarity, symmetry, intelligibility, and the taming of naturalistic impulses by the intellect. Music in this period was essentially an abstract art, in contrast to the music of the Romantics, which reflected the values of each individual composer. The classicists considered abstraction to be indispensable to the creation of art that has universal impact and appeal, and can thus become part of an entire culture's shared experience. Regardless of his personal circumstances, Beethoven never wavered in his belief that music is divined from a realm of higher revelation, and that the composer's duty is to render it on earth in a manner that will ennoble humankind. And every page of the Emperor Concerto is imbued with the spirit of elevation and nobility. This tone of exaltation is established at the concerto's outset, as grand orchestral chords evoke a series of spectacular flourishes from the piano that traverse every range of the instrument. This opening movement occupies at least half of the concerto's approximately 40-minute length, and it derives its Olympian strength from Beethoven's iconic practice of taking the most basic melodic materials and developing them, with profound ingenuity, into an epic tapestry. The middle movement seems to come from another world, as Beethoven exchanges the first movement's key of E-flat major with its 3 flats for the harmonically remote 5 sharps of B major. This theme and variations, in which a consoling hymn is sung above and within a succession of emotionally exquisite settings, is one of Beethoven's most sublime creations, and a testament to his sometimes overlooked gift for writing music that is deeply tender. As the movement winds down, a miraculous transformation begins. 2 bassoons are left alone, holding the movement's keynote of B natural in octaves. The octave then slips down a half step to B flat, now held by a pair of horns and foreshadowing the return of the concerto's E-flat key. A slow, disembodied version of the beginning of the upcoming rondo's theme appears, like a mirage of gleaming mountain peaks in the distance. There's a second tentative advance, and then all the tension is cast aside with the launching of the finale, a boisterous dance-like rondo that is the very embodiment of Beethoven's immense capacity for joy. It reminds us that although Beethoven's music can be darkly dramatic, stormy, and even angry at times, it is never bitter or cynical. In spite of all his suffering, his art is, at its core, vigorously and profoundly life-affirming. Well more than 200 years after Beethoven's birth, it is this quality of affirmation that still inspires all who love his music.